Welcome to this week's edition of the Martial Arts Business Success. We're at episode number 107.
It's Phil here, and Graham, if you didn't know, wow.
Well, let's just dive in, mate. Today's topic and something that we're going to talk about. Look, I guess for you guys watching here, everything we discuss is things that we go through, whether it's things we've gone through in the past or going through currently at the moment, at both the successes and also the frustrations. So today we're bringing it into generational learning styles, how to get the most from them, how to educate them both as a student but also as a staff member. So Phil, take it away.
Where do you start? Yeah, generation differences, and we don't want to pigeonhole everyone in the specific generations, but what I've found being an employer of many generations, that there are differences, and you have to deal with them all differently as well. So if we talk about some of our older staff, the guys who are around 40 plus. Yep. So some of our older guys. I think that's what, Gen X or something like that.
Yep, you're pretty much on track there, mate.
So these are the guys that they really like to work hard. They're sort of narrow-minded, meaning they're not they don't think laterally. They like to get their job done and they'll work really, really hard, but they also don't like letting go. They also, if they've got an opinion or a way of doing things, they like to stick to that. And it's also very hard to sort of get your point across. You sort of have to come at them with multiple different ways of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what I've found with sort of the older generation that we have.
Look, there's some exceptions to the rule, as always. And look, for you that are listening to this, don't get us wrong, we're not going to pigeonhole, as you said before. We're not going to piss people off if we're talking about things that aren't aligned to you. But from our observations with people that we definitely know, the old saying, can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can educate as long as you find the different strategies to show them and give meaning behind why it's different. And embracing new methods of learning is one of the things you've got to spend a little bit more time with them. I definitely know that these guys are loyal, though.
Yeah.
They're this type of people. Once they start at your organisation, your school, they tend to be there for a lifelong person, unless you do something seriously wrong or they don't see a future there. So that's something that's always a bonus and a benefit as well too. But what do we got next, mate? We've got there's a new one that's popped up, believe it or not, in recent times. It's called the Zennials. Now, I don't know if you know much about this one, Phil. We fall in this sort of category here. So these guys, let me just have a look. We've got 38 to 52, and again, there's a little bit of a sort of a range here. These guys there's a little difference.
Yeah.
They're at the later end of that scale. The older guys, they may not necessarily have all these traits, but the younger guys, kind of like us, they've had that olden style learnings from when you used to find the phone on the wall. Remember when they had the dial phones, things like that? You had to, when you call up the house, you actually had to have, speak to the child's parents or whoever else, your mate's parents.
Yeah. Right
through to technology and embracing technology in the mobile phone and whatnot. Yeah. So what they do is they still have that great work ethic. They still have a great sense of hard work, but they also embrace new technologies to make life work a little easier for them. So they kind of get a foot in each camp. Yeah. So that's something that these guys are very innovative in their approach and their ways of doing things. Like I said, some of the older crew in this age group may not necessarily be in that category just yet, but I definitely know some of the guys closer to that 37, 38-year-old sort of bracket, which is where we fall, are definitely in there.
Yeah, they've sort of got, like you said, they've experienced the old school type of way of being brought up, and they've still been able to adapt to the technology. Look, as growing up as children, I remember, the birth of the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo PlayStation. I don't even know the names, Xbox, all those type of things. We had that growing up. Whereas the generation before didn't. Yeah. We were the Atari or something like that. I'm trying to remember all the names.
Yeah, for sure.
But through that also, even I remember getting my first mobile phone. It was an absolute brick, but it was an Ericsson, and I remember the Nokia came out and it had the Snake game, So if you think about the technology, even just as far as we've been alive, man, it's gone so fast. And I think that's probably where we go to, the change of generation completely. We've gone the hard workers without technology. You've got the sort of in-betweeners with a bit of non and bit with technology. And you've got the guys who've just grown up with the world at their fingertips.
Look, I know that these crew that we're talking about, which is, again, we quite embrace because we're in it. But these are the guys who grew up and were probably younger, I think maybe between 11, 12, 13, depending on the age that they were, but especially our age, before the internet was around. So when it comes to learning styles, you had to actually go and resource. You had to go to the library. You had to actually go and grab books. You'd have to go and subscribe to courses, and there was a lot of stuff that way. if we fast forward to the next generation, talk about, again, learning styles for staff, the millennials and the Gen Y crew, they've had the internet, the resource, the amazing amount of information at their fingertips is just there. So what actually happens is sometimes you'll find that these crew, although very tech savvy and can probably punch up something quite quickly, they sometimes, if they hit a roadblock, they stop looking, they stop finding solutions. And that's always hard. It's always hard as a staff member. They become very very sort of relaxed, and I guess even to the point of like, hey, I need this broken, can you fix it? And that's they sort of lose that hunger of finding solutions. Now again, that's not always the norm. You can educate that, you can train that, but I certainly find that we've got to make sure that when we do staff training and education, the problem-solving drills that we do with these guys are obviously a lot different, and the results they get with all of our staff are very different as well too in that sort of forum.
Yeah. And then I guess we've got sort of the younger of the two, the lot is the Gen Z. And even saying that, like we're sitting here thinking about the generation differences, and we wanted to go, well, what are they? And so what do? We Googled it on our phone. And even our man behind the camera, George, internet, information at his fingertips, pop it up straight away. But just imagine, what would it be like if we couldn't do that? Like, would we still continue with this topic right now? We wouldn't have been able to draw that information up. We'd be like, geez, what are they? We either have to find someone who knows, or like you said, go to the library. And I think that's what stops the sort of younger generations. Like, they've never had to go out and find things as hard as what people before them had. Because everything is at their fingertips, And I think the way that the world has gone as well, and I was even just some of that as well. Like, I grew up and my mum gave me her car, whereas, back before then you would have had to bloody save up, and not everyone, some people still save up and buy their parents' car and that sort of stuff. But I think there's almost an entitlement with the younger crew, wanting to, they expect to have it all without having to work super, super hard for it. And I think it's always the whole thing, like we talk about like gradings, like we used to, when we graded in our martial arts black belt, it was way harder, so they should do it even harder.
Did we just pull out it back in my day?
Yeah, my God. So, but it's always the people who have gone and been there and done it feel that they have the right to say, I've done it harder because I've done X, Y, Z. We're not taking away from the younger generation that don't have it harder or easier or whatever, we're just saying there is a difference.
Definitely, and I think what we're really reiterating with this topic on this podcast is it's really important for you as an educator, as a business owner, even as an instructor, is to understand generational learning styles and also too how they communicate, their work ethic. I know that what we say with this younger generation, sometimes they want your job without having to do the work. They walk in day one and they need to be the CEO of the organisation. Also, too, they find that when they're in a situation where they're feeling uncomfortable, not supported, they may find that they don't perform as highly. Sometimes working by themselves is not always the norm. Let's then look at the positives. These guys are very tech savvy. They're sometimes able to complete tasks on documents and format things in a speck of the time that an older person would do. So, we take all of that. But again, I suppose what we do in our learning style, we have a great way of delivering good instructor courses. We have online resources for the younger generation to absorb. We have hands-on training for the older crew, and we talk them through step by step. So it's vital as an organisation and as a professional one is to continually review your systems and learning styles and maximise and getting the results. Because, we've been able to delegate a lot. We've been able to empower our staff, get them excited. But again, they're all very different, so we need to get them excited in different ways.
Yeah. I was just thinking right then, like the world that we live in now, we're looking for instant gratification, and how that younger generation, although it was probably still similar for the older crew, is that, like the image, like if I don't have a good car, or if I don't have a nice house, or if I don't get those likes or comments on my thing, then geez, the world's against me, or I don't have any friends, and we all have heard in the tabloids and in the stories of what the youth are doing because of the world that they live in. Social proof, social gratification, instant gratification, and when they don't get that in the workplace, well, and not that your job is to do that. Your job is to teach them and train them and help them be more resilient in those situations.
Sure. Look, I think for anybody who's listening to this, if you have any challenges or even successes you want to share with that, please hit us up, let us know. Comment on this podcast and whatnot, tag us in it, all the rest of it. I think the big thing is if you're having some challenge, because I know a lot of people do, a lot of the old school business owners are hitting this new generation and they're just like pulling their hair out. So hit us up. We've got some great resources and strategy we'll be happy to share about how to get the most from your staff and also how to educate so that you're not left doing everything as well.
Yeah, you can't paint the canvas with the same brush. So everyone's a little bit different. There's a different technique, different tool, different strategy on how you can get the most out of those people there. So that's what we're all about. Reach out to us, guys, admin@tima.com.au. Don't forget, we've got our $1 trial of the TIMA Mastermind. It's a closed Facebook group. It's a community, like-minded people, tons of resources, lots of people in there helping each other, live Q&As with Graham and I. So if you have your daily, weekly challenges, bring them to us. We'll help you nut them out. It's a killer group, so check that out. There'll be a link somewhere. And also don't forget our event coming up in November. I'm not too sure whether this will be live or not by the time you get it, but pretty close. November 19th in 2017, obviously. We'll be teaming up with Hyper, doing the TIMA event. So business education, instructor certification, Athletes Day, it's all there. Find the link, get on that event, don't miss out, and start kicking goals for 2018.
Awesome. See you soon, guys.